Welcome to today's show. I am your host, Eric Darnley Small. Thank you for joining me today. As always, anytime I can have anybody come and take a look at my videos, I truly appreciate it. As you guys know, if you like what you see here, you can like and subscribe. We would fully appreciate that. And any feedback you want to give me on the page would be appreciated as well. But in addition to that, as you guys should already know, links and videos and documents and whatever that I display here, you can also find on our Mastodon at mastodon.vtip.me/@whatyoumissed. And for those of you who don't know, Mastodon is basically a Twitter clone. It looks like Twitter, it acts like Twitter. They use different terminology, like instead of a tweet, it's a toot or something like that. But the reason why I use it is that it gives me the independence of making sure that some lunatic doesn't buy the system and then decide who should and should not be, amplified, that I don't get ads with Nazis next to them, etc. It just gives me a lot of control, which I like. So in today's video, I'm not too thrilled about today's video, and I actually was not too sure I was going to do a video today because it is a video that I feel I have to do not as so much as a what you miss, but also as sort of a clearing of the ear to some extent. If you've watched my videos, you will know one of my resources is this guy, Fareed Zakaria. And he has a show called Fareed Zakaria GPS, which I find incredibly valuable. I still do. But I don't agree with everything Fareed says. And he said something on his show on Sunday that I totally disagree with. And the cynic in me, and I am a cynical man to some extent, believes that he may be positioning, expecting Donald Trump to return. And he needs to create an environment where he can say that he sympathized with the former president when he gets back into office so that he can get access. The non-cynical man in me thinks maybe he's doing this as a bright red warning shot to Democrats. He needs to have Hopium, the head of that website that I've actually featured a video with him on there, Simon Rosenberg, to discuss why things are not as bad as he thinks they are. I, of course, do not believe that this is in any way a walk in the park, but it is going to be a fight. And every election is turning out to be a fight because on the one side, it is a cult. And on the other side, it's regular Americans who are divided over any number of different things. That's the Democratic Party. Democratic Party is divided over everything. It's a big tent. And by the nature of a big tent, you have all different kinds of constituents involved. Palestinians, Israelis, blacks, whites, women, gays, transgender, foreigners, Mexicans, Chinese, everybody is made up of the Democratic Party. Whereas with the Republican Party, it is overwhelmingly dominated by white males. I will also at this time reiterate, if Donald Trump wins, it is not because of African Americans not coming home, quote unquote. It isn't because of Latinos not voting Democrat. It's not because women voted for Trump over Biden. It is because white males, particularly white males of a certain age, all voted for Trump. And we know that. We've seen that. It's in the polling. We know that the Republican Party is disproportionately white male, and that constituents makes up the concern or the motivation behind the Republican Party pushing back. And anyone that doesn't look at race, by the way, here is doing a disservice. We just had a story over the weekend that in Virginia, 2 school districts voted to rename their schools after Confederate soldiers after the George Floyd protests, took their names off their schools and put more generic names on it. No, these school districts so loved the Confederacy that they decided to reverse that decision. So there is a love affair with America's past that is a racist past. It is a sexist past, and all of that right now is coming up from the bottom, coming to the surface in a grievance. And Donald Trump has tapped into that grievance, and he's riding that all the way to the White House. But let me get to this part of this video that is so sad for me to report on. And I only want to talk about it because I really feel like I refer people to go to Fareed Zakaria. I played a clip, for instance, last week from his show, and I will play other clips that I find fascinating and very interesting. But I cannot do this, recommend him and his show, without taking opportunities to criticize when I think he's got it wrong. I think Fareed Zakaria is a guy who is center right. I think he is a Thatcherite. He's a guy who, enamored Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, that administration, which is the beginning of the conservative movement both in the UK and in America. I think he's a small government guy. I think he is a maybe a little bit of a foreign interventionist guy. I think he is a free market guy. And I think that he gets it all legitimately. So anyway, let's get to it. Fareed Zakaria does on his show My Take, and he almost starts the show off. And he decides to take a take, and there is a specific issue that I took with his take that I'm going to hone in on. But it's a fatalist view that basically surrenders to Donald Trump. I'm going to play a portion of it, and I'm going to stop it as... Okay, here we go. I'm going to go back a second.
I'll ask him. But first, here's my take. When President Biden made clear he was going to run for re-election, I had a sense of what his election strategy was and thought it was an intelligent path to victory. After the chaos of COVID and Trump, Joe Biden would stand for normalcy and a rising tide of good economic news. Donald Trump would divide Republicans, with significant chunks of the party wishing that someone like Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis would be their nominee. Meanwhile, Trump would unite and motivate Democrats, allowing President Biden to focus on the votes of independents and swing states who threw the Electoral College to Trump in 2016 and to Biden in 2020. I have to admit, none of this is playing out as I thought it would. Trump is now leading in almost all the swing states, but behind those numbers lie even more troubling details.
Okay, let's begin there. So this is clearly somebody, not surprisingly, is concerned about where the polls are. I'm going to go over the polls later on. But let's be clear here. What he's setting up is the fact that he is surprised that Joe Biden is not doing as well as he thought. I'm going to put a link. Hopefully I can find a link to this full video so you can watch it, but I'm going to skip ahead because basically what he goes through is how well the economy is doing versus how well people are seeing and what people are reporting in the polling, how they're not seeing the changes that Joe Biden has created. They're still divided, and they still support Trump, see Trump's America as a better one.
Been in decades. Only 33% of Americans said they approved of Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war, which is now opposed both by people who think he is too soft and people who think he is too hard on Israel. Meanwhile, Republicans seem to be uniting behind Trump. Whatever opposition he faced in the primaries has largely melted away. And the trials against him keep him in the spotlight, infuriate his base, who sees him as a martyr, and even may serve to make him the object of some sympathy among people in general who believe that his prosecutors are politically motivated. This happens to be true, in my opinion. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
Okay, so there's my problem. There's my problem with Fareed. Fareed, like a lot of people, appear to be, even at this late stage, thinking that this indictment against Trump is trumped up, pun intended, that this is a political hit job, politically against him. Completely irresponsible, I think. and he's saying that it's his opinion along with other people's. There's a number of reasons why I have a problem with this. Number one is there is a sense that I still have amongst Republicans that some crimes are more prosecutable or worse than others, right? White collar crimes, nah, well, they're kind of, bribery. We know the Supreme Court has gutted the standards for bribery. This stuff with taxes and all that kind of stuff. People seem to forget Al Capone and the mob was brought down by tax evasion, not by all the killings and all the, heavy-handed tactics. It was taxes that brought them down. But all of this white collar crime is all sort of unseemly. It's not fair. Oh, well, the documents case, that's a real thing. Oh, going after on January 6th, that's a real thing. But all of this other stuff is politically motivated. However, if Donald Trump had gone into a bodega, or a young black man had gone into a bodega, stole a bag of chips, throw his ass in jail, right? So this is classism. This hits along the classist level. But also on top of that, if you have been paying attention to what's going on, it's very clearly Donald Trump has committed multiple crimes. And the idea that this is politically motivated, it would be politically irresponsible. We would be talking about a two-tiered justice system where people are able to commit crimes left and right and get away with it because they ran for president and because the Republican Party supports them. It would be a mockery of the rule of law. Donald Trump falsified tax documents. Donald Trump did it, and Michael Cohen did it, who's on trial today, because he was trying to prevent that information from getting out to the public, a violation of campaign finance laws. Michael Cohen went to jail. And I didn't hear anyone like Fareed Zakaria talking about how Michael Cohen should have never gone to jail and how this is politically motivated, yada, yada, yada. Michael Cohen went to jail for what he did. And this was all at the behest of Donald Trump. And the idea that Donald Trump should get off is like a mob boss having his underlings all go under while he remains free. Whitey Bulger comes to mind as a guy who started cooperating with the feds and then began turning his people in, but he got to walk around scot-free. There are other stories of people who are informants who the government doesn't touch while they sit back and commit crimes. There's been stories about that over the years because they're an informant. But I mean, the idea that Donald Trump, that these are charges that are made up, politically motivated, and Fareed Zakaria is giving air to the idea that if his name wasn't Trump, he wouldn't have been indicted. Yeah, that's probably true, because you know what? No other person would have sat back and done this. No other person sleeps with a porn star and then pays hush money because he decides to run for president. But I want to talk specifically about the polling, because oh my God, the polling, it looks so bad for Donald Trump, for Joe Biden. Oh my God, the polling. We have to face facts. This is the theme of Fareed Zakaria, who sort of opens up with, let's be real. We've got to face facts. Joe Biden is losing to Donald Trump. I mean, when did the polls ever been wrong? Well, guess what? The last time Donald Trump ran for president for the first time, and by the way, one thing to remember that people forget, Donald Trump is an incumbent. We've never seen this before. He's doing something that we've never seen before. A person who was once president who lost and is running again. Donald Trump is an incumbent. He is not a regular, senator or a governor or someone who is running for president for the first time. He was president once before, and he's running for president again. So these are two incumbents running against one another. Two former presidents, one current president, the other a former president, running for the presidency. I don't think we've ever seen that in American history. But let's go back in the time machine and go back and look at what the numbers look like for Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. And by the way, Donald Trump, again, was not an incumbent. Donald Trump back then was a businessman. No one knew who the heck he was. No one knew how he would govern. So he was giving a lot of the benefit of the doubt. But if you look back here, this is 538's website. It'll be on Mastodon. But if you look here, 2016, Hillary Clinton never was behind Trump at all during almost the entire time that she and Donald Trump were running for president. This right here says August 20th. You probably can't see it. It says August 20th, 2016. But this right here is, well, let me go back actually. Let me go back to around this date. This actually begins, oh, this doesn't even begin. Look at that. They didn't even start really seriously. And by the way, let me just also remind people that, not for nothing, but we haven't even had the nomination yet. Although I know it's all a formality, but there hasn't even been a convention yet. Officially, these two haven't even been nominated officially yet, although the nomination process is still going on. But it's not here yet. So that's why these polls are not really being, looked at seriously. The polling on 538, and anyone who knows 538, it's an aggregator of the polls, but no one takes these polls seriously at this point because there is no nomination. They haven't formally nominated either one of these gentlemen as the nominee of the party. But so this begins, 538 begins here in June 8th. Why they begin June 8th, it's because, I don't know why. But that's a whole month away. Well, not a month away, but it's about 3 weeks away. And it's 4238, 4206, 40. I mean, we just go forward in time. And Clinton is beating Donald Trump all the way to Election Day. Look at this. All the way to Election Day. To the point where 538 model has Clinton beating Trump 45-7. People thought it was wrapped up, it was over, it was done. I don't know why we're even, it was going to be such a decisive win on the part of Hillary Clinton. It was going to be embarrassing. But let me just scroll down here because this actually, you can begin sort of where we're at now in this polling here on 538. And let me just go in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And I just want to take a look at this. So here we are. This is around May 11th. And this is McLaughlin Association. And these are the ratings that 538 gives these, the quality of the polling. And I'm going to skip over anything that's below, let's say, an A-. So New York CBS, 47-41, Clinton up by 4. Here, Trump, Fox News on May 14th, Trump is up by 4. NBC News, Wall Street Journal up by 1. Trump. May 16th, ABC News, Trump up by 5. But then we go to, by May 16th, Ipsos, Clinton up by 4. Let's go up. Ipsos, May 21st, Clinton up by 7. May 24th, Clinton up by 1. Ipsos, Clinton up by 1. May 31st, Ipsos, Clinton up by 13. Morning IBD, Clinton up by 5. Right? Continuing on. This is 2016. This is when Donald Trump would later go on to win the presidency. And people thought was hopeless. June 5th, Clinton up by 3. June 9th, Clinton up by 7. June 10th, Clinton up by, no, not June 10th. June 11th, Clinton up by 5. June 10th, Clinton up by 12. Ipsos, June 10th, Clinton up by 13th. June 15th, Clinton up by 7. I'm going to scroll all the way up, continuing all the way up. Let's go into August. August. We are closer now to the election than ever before. Anybody else who knows anything about polling would be saying, oh, well, it's baked in. Donald Trump has only ever been up once or twice during the whole time Clinton has been ahead. So again, Ipsos, August 19th, Clinton up by 7. Continuing up, Ipsos, August 14th, Clinton up by 7. Continuing on up, let's see, where are we? Ipsos, August 24th, Clinton up by 1. Continuing on, Ipsos, September 3rd, Clinton up by 5. Ipsos, September 8th, Clinton up by 1. Ipsos, Clinton up by 2 in September 13th. Skipping over anything that is less than an A, we're now into a lot of bad polling along here, a lot of B's. Survey USA, Clinton up by 3. This is now June 8th. Oh, this must be, so the previous must have been the previous year. Okay, Marist, Clinton up by 4. Or is this may be arranged in a different way? October, Clinton up by 6. This is not arranged by date. This must be arranged by polling, by pollster. Let me see if I can arrange this by date a little bit more. And I'm going to go at February. This is December. This must be the year before. Let me take a look here. All right, yeah, this looks like this is a bit better, although I don't know how this is going. But anyway, Clinton up. Let me look at this is basically the election here. Marist College, Clinton up by 11, right? Quinnipiac, Clinton up by 6. So you get my point. 2016. Hillary Clinton, if I'm using Fareed Zakaria's calculations, we are 6 months from the election or so. 6 months from the election in 2016, Hillary Clinton was up. Donald Trump almost never beat Clinton in any polling. Clinton was ahead the entire time, and she lost. The polling was wrong. Dead wrong. So, Fareed says the polling is almost abysmal, the way he makes it sounds like. We need to get into reality. Donald Trump is ascendant. People are ready for Trump, according to the polling. All of the polls are so terrible for him. And by the way, I'm going to totally ignore that there is, actually, no, I will show. I think New York Times has polling for today. That there's new polling. But what does the polling say today that has everyone so concerned? Morning Consult, these don't have ratings next to them, but Morning Consult has Trump up by 1. Data for Progress has Biden up by 1. Data for Progress again, May 1st, has Trump up by 1. They're even in the Suffolk County one. TIPP, Biden up by 1. Biden up by 1 on the next one. Morning Consult, Trump up 1. YouGov, even. Big Village, Trump up by 2. Big Village, Biden up by 1. Big Village, Biden up by 1. So the polling hasn't even really begun. The work hasn't even been really begun in earnest as to determine what the heck is going on with the election right now. But if you listen to folks, they would like you to believe that we need to start getting comfortable with a Donald Trump presidency. Let me go here because I did notice this. I saw this earlier today. Trump leads Biden in 5 battleground states, according to this, right? This is today's New York Times. Trump leads in 5 key states as young and non-white voters express discontent with Biden. By the way, in general, I think this is what democracy is. People get to go out there and get to choose who they want based on how they feel that person is done, right? If we don't have people going out there and choosing their displeasure with a president, then we don't have a democracy. We're in Iraq territory with Saddam Hussein, which is what Donald Trump is trying to do. Remember Uday and Qusay, his sons running things? This is what Donald Trump wants. His daughter-in-law is running things. He wants his sons, Eric and Don Jr., running things, a part of the government. This is what authoritarians do. But let's go back to this whole thing. Again, non-white voters expressed discontent with Biden. Again, trying to put this on non-whites when in fact the problem is with whites, white males. That's our problem. But anyway, let's just take a look at the polling here. Wisconsin, Trump, Biden is up. It looks like 47-45. If the presidential election were held today, who would you vote for, Biden or Trump? I think, let me also just say that, particularly from Fareed Zakaria's point of view, I think the media thought that Donald Trump was such a noxious figure and that the American people were so over Trump that Biden would be running away with it. And again, I think that this was naivete on the part of the media, because the media doesn't fully appreciate what Donald Trump has done. And I'm not going to go into that because this is already a longer video than I thought it would be. But let's go into this here. Pennsylvania, 44-47, Trump leads. Arizona, 49-42, Trump leads. Michigan, 49-42, Trump leads. Georgia, 39-49, Trump ahead. Nevada, 38-50. I'm surprised by the Nevada numbers. I'm not certain about that. I would be very curious as to see what Nate Cohen is seeing here. But this is what people are bedwetting about. This polling. Surveys by the New York Times, Siena College, and the Philadelphia Inquirer. Trump was ahead among registered voters, not likely voters, registered voters, in a head-to-head matchup against Mr. Biden in 5 of the 6 key states: Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania. Mr. Biden led among registered voters in only one battleground state, Wisconsin. I don't want to go into all of this. There will be links in my Mastodon to this if you want to. But I want to make up another point which I didn't show on the video, and I may. I believe that there are hidden Biden voters, which Fareed Zakaria sort of poo-pooed. I actually believe that there are hidden Biden voters. And I think that if you are someone who is a Biden voter and you live in a red part of this country, you're not advertising you're a Biden voter. Why? Because you would have threats against your life. Let us not forget that the Republican Party has become a party that is using intimidation and threats and fake voter fraud to begin to intimidate and threaten people who don't support Trump. So why in the world, if you live in a red part of the country and you are, say, a Nikki Haley voter, or you are, say, a voter who despises Trump and what he's done to the party and everything that he stands for, why would you broadcast that when your neighbor probably has a Trump sign out, has Joe Biden, hog-tied in the back seat in the bed of a truck, when that person is going around loaded with guns, talking about crazy QAnon and crazy, trumped up charges and all of this stuff? Why would you go out and make yourself a target and say you're not voting for Biden? You're not voting for Trump. You may not love Biden and you may not vote for Biden, but you're not going to vote for Trump. But why in the world would you make yourself known to the people that you are going to vote against Donald Trump if you're in a red part of a blue state, or if you're even in a red state and you've been a lifelong Republican? Why would you make it known to the media or to anyone what your preference is? I think you wouldn't. I think if you were not going to vote against Donald Trump, or if you were going to vote against Donald Trump and either put in another name or vote for Joe Biden, that you would not go out. Jeff Duncan, who I talked about last week, is one of the few people who've come out and said, I'm voting for Joe Biden. And I think it was Joe Walsh called it career suicide. And it is career suicide. If you are a Republican and you've decided to vote against a Republican, this is a cult now. This is a party that no longer believes in democracy. And it would absolutely find you a threat if you voted against their viewpoint and their way of doing things. So, all that to say, I respect Fareed Zakaria. This is America. I expect people's viewpoints. He's one of the sharpest, smartest minds. I am hoping that he's just doing this to put the fear of God into people and that he doesn't actually believe that the very legitimate trial that's going on in New York against Donald Trump, who committed crimes and should be held accountable for that. I hope that he doesn't seriously believe that these are trumped up charges and that he truly, truly does believe the legitimacy of this case. Thank you for watching, and you'll see me on the next video. Have a great day, guys. Hey there, fantastic viewers. Eric Darnley Small here, and I hope you're loving today's episode of What You Missed. You've reached the end of today's show, but don't worry, there's more show coming up. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the bell so that you'll be notified when more content is available. You can also help the channel by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. It helps the YouTube algorithm find new viewers so that I can keep bringing you all this incredible content you enjoy. But wait, there are more ways to support the show. You can make a contribution through the show's PayPal, which goes a long way in helping produce even better content for you. And consider becoming a part of our growing community by joining our Mastodon site at mastodon.vtip.me/@whatyoumissed for more engaging discussions and exclusive updates. And here's something you won't want to miss. Mark your calendars for our live show streaming on YouTube and stream.vtip.me Monday mornings, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your support means the world to me, and together we're making What You Missed the best it can be. Thanks for being a part of my journey.